My name is Mohan Vijay. People call me Mohan or Vijay, and I'm an industrial designer by education. I spent about 19 years working. At BSH, I manage design and user experience operations for India. So it's about managing the experience of users with the brand. Right from consumer research, managing consumer experience journey across all the brand touch points, and then the classic industrial design. Let's say when we designed our first product, designed and developed our first India for India product for BSH. I think it took us about maybe 1 year plus, one year and another 8 months, maybe 9 months. Today we are talking about a cycle of 6-7 months. We have reduced the time by three times. We've become faster. The designers are not seen just as, let's say, people who design products. They make beautiful sketches and products. It's not seen like that today. They're seen as problem solvers. They're seen as catalysts to solve business challenges.
Yeah. Groundbreakin.
Welcome to the Groundbreakin moment. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. What does your usual Saturday look like?
My usual Saturday looks like, it's about spending time with my son. He's about 10 years old, and then we built something. Today, we were stepping out of the home, we built a post box and then came out. I think Saturday is mostly about building something, tinkering, stuff like that.
Yeah, thanks for giving your important time to us, talking about your journey. Mohan, if you can, introduce yourself and tell us more about what you've been doing, the kind of stuff you're responsible for our audience.
Sure. So my name is Mohan Vijay. People call me Mohan or Vijay. And I'm an industrial designer by education. And I spent about 19 years working. I started my career with Wipro Consumer Care and Lighting, designing lighting, furnitures and all. Then I worked in a company called Pentair, designing water purifiers from India for the world. Then I started working with HCL. So HCL at that time, HCL acquired a portion of Xerox. So I had the great opportunity for designing printers for Xerox. So it's probably the biggest learning that I had in Xerox. So basically from India, designing for the world, and then also working across manufacturers, partners across the world. Since 2017, end of 2017, I'm working with BSH. So I'm the first member of BSH Design Hub in India. So since then, I'm with BSH leading their design and user experience operations.
You said you're from a design school and you studied design almost 2 decades ago. Were you always want to be a designer? Because I talk to a lot of people who are in design leadership and never studied design. And were you even aware of the design ecosystem back then?
See, I got exposed to design as a topic or as an education. I think way back in 1998, it's just through a newspaper, a small little rectangle on a newspaper which spoke about National Institute of Design. But I think my, let's say, affinity to do something different, something creative, maybe started way back, maybe in my 3rd and 4th standard. My father worked in a state government job in Tamil Nadu. So his job was to manage temples. We shift around every 3 years, move across different towns and cities and even villages. So I think around 4th or 3rd standard, there was a temple renovation happening. And then I had the opportunity to kind of climb up and then sit close to the towers and then look at the sculptures and all of it. So when the children were playing, I used to paint along with the painters, scrapping the sculptures, painting them, playing with colors, basically mixing colors. And I think that's where probably it all started. Then I started absorbing all of this. So Tamil Nadu has huge temples with so much of, let's say, art, painting and all of it. I think I got sucked into that, I would say. I think my world was around, since then my world was around admiring those architecture, looking at the stories, exploring what stories were beneath that. So I think that's where it started. And then from that moment on, I think um as I grew up, and then I always knew that I wanted to do something creative. And I never really knew that, okay, there is an education available for that. So then I learned about National Institute of Fashion Technology, not National Institute of Design. There was a newspaper ad where it said, okay, you can apply for National Institute of Fashion Technology. So I did that, way back in 2000, 1999, 2000. But then I have traditional South Indian parents. So they say, so at that time, I think the design degree is not a degree. It's a diploma. And then, so they said, so you cannot go to a diploma after 12th. So I couldn't convince my parents at that time. Then I did my engineering. Then I said, okay, then I knew how to convince. So after engineering, then I studied masters in design.
Yeah. As they say, I mean, whatever you want to do, you have to do either engineering or... I think that have changed massively now. I think people are more aware about creative fields. Tell us about your role at BSH, the kind of work you're doing there.
So at BSH, I manage design and user experience operations for India. When I say user experience, it has nothing to do with, let's say, screens. I would say user experience in true meaning, So it's about managing the experience of users with the brand. So it's my responsibility lies in managing teams and functions and practices, right from consumer research, managing consumer experience journey across all the brand touch points, and then the classic industrial design. So that's what I do. And then of course it involves managing the experience of brand stores, and then getting feedback from consumers, working along with a lot of stakeholders to improve each and every touch point experience. And then hands-on doing consumer research, spending time with consumers in their homes, in their real environments, to understand what inspired, to look for inspirations and understand what kind of problems that they go through. And then design products for India that is still Bosch, but solves real consumer needs of Indian consumers. Yeah.
And who are the ideal customer? Like, are you designing for organizations, or are you designing products that can be adapted by either organization or individuals?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, we design home appliances. So right from refrigerators to washing machines to ovens to hoods and hobs. So this is what we do. I mean, so when I talk about consumer segments, it starts from, let's say, NCCS B, NCCS A. So basically, if you translate that, let's say, lower middle class to upper middle class to HNIs.
And how much? And is it like a... So okay, whatever product that is coming out are called Bosch. Is that so? So or there's a... Because I'm maybe not much aware about if there are products that has a brand name of BSH.
No, BSH is not a brand name. So BSH is the organization. So globally, BSH has about 11 brands. And then in India, we operate 3 brands, the Bosch, Siemens, and Gaggenau. Our design work is predominantly around the Bosch brand. We do a little bit of Siemens work, but then Bosch is the, let's say, the front-end brand for us.
Yeah. You mentioned that you are majorly working on the user experience side of design. How much of industrial design you're doing with that role, and even in your team?
It's 50-50. Yeah. So when I say, for us, the user experience has a very different meaning. Like I said, it's for us, user experience is about understanding consumers and then managing the experience of end users with respect to the brand. So it's about defining the product. It's about identifying the problem and defining the product or the solution or the website. It's about that. Like the way, in a classic way, what you call UX in a software field. Understand the consumers and then define their needs, come up with insights and then define a solution. That's my fair bit of understanding. In a similar way, we understand consumers, define the needs of consumers with respect to a physical product. Not only physical product, but with respect to a website, with respect to what goes on in a retail shop floor, with respect to what is going on with our overall product roadmap, or maybe some internal, let's say, organizational challenges. So we apply user experience in a holistic way. When we talk about user, then for us, there is an external user, which is our end consumer who pays for us. Then there is a customer who's somebody like a dealer, like your Giryas or your Vijay sales. So these are our customers. We talk about their experience. Then we as employees, who kind of designs products or engineers products or manufactures products, we talk about their experience as well. So we manage all these experiences in a holistic way. And then the remaining part is your classic industrial design, where we, let's say, apply the Bosch brand design language and then create products.
So it's like a role between UX and industrial design, which is kind of special. I haven't met a lot of people who are sitting at the forefront of these two. I'm just curious to know, like, so you had mentioned that you had a meeting with architects today morning. Whenever you're maybe designing a product or maybe thinking of coming up with a maybe next version of that product, is this normal to talk to architects, and what all people do you talk to? What does the process usually go when you're and do you have a lot of products that are new that you're trying to do, or maybe making like next version of these products?
So to answer your first question, so whom and all we talk to when we, I would say, I would start with probably whom and all we observe. So our whom and all we look for inspiration. When it comes to designing a product, then we start with let's say, the classic way or the bare essential way. We start with the end user. Let's say if we are designing a washing machine, we go to homes, understand how people do laundry. How do they sort cloths? How do they wash? How do they soak? How do they treat their tough stains? Or how do they move their washing machines if they have to? And how do they dry it? So we spend time with them in their environment. We do a lot of contextual ethnography research there. And then for us, it's not about doing a lot of talking. It's more about observing and then inferring and then asking questions on the way, and then why people do certain things in a certain way. Then it comes to understanding somebody like an architect or an interior designer in certain types of products. It's not all the consumers are going to an architect to choose their products. But when somebody spends a lot of money in doing a kitchen or doing a home renovation, so then they involve architect in the decision making. So there are certain kinds of products like your kitchen products predominantly, your hoods, hobs, ovens. Architects are involved, interior designers are involved, and then they have their say in it. So we understand their perspectives as well in terms of how do they see appliances, how do they integrate appliances, and what do they miss out, whether our appliances align to their vision of trends, in their vision of home for that particular end consumer. So these are majorly the kinds of people. Then in the process, we also talk to a lot of our customer service technicians, because they fix problems day in, day out. I mean, there are problems that they face that's kind of gold mine, So we don't have to do a lot of fundamental research, piggy bank, just say go on a ride with a customer service technician for a day. We understand so many things, the trouble that they go through, and then really meeting a customer at the frustrated situation and then facing that music along with them. It gives you a lot of empathy to solve that problem. Then we also talk to people who are on the shop floor selling our products, the sales consultants. If you go to a appliance store, there are guys who come and talk to what are you looking for. We talk to them, because they are at the front and they know the pulse. And they tell us, okay, this works and this doesn't work, and this is what is selling and this is not what's selling. And then even though there are some beautiful features that we might have designed, but for them it's very difficult to communicate, or from their point of view doesn't make sense for the consumers, or it is very difficult to demonstrate on a shop floor. So we talk to these kind of people. In India, we focus on 3 brands. So in India, Bosch, Siemens, and Gaggenau, and so these are the 3 different brands. But as a design team, that we work predominantly on Bosch and Siemens, and the Gaggenau is globally designed from Munich, and then it's basically for the likes of Ambani's, the super rich. So they are kind of made to order products. It's a legacy brand which is existing for about, I think, 100 plus years, and there is one global design language, and then it's designed, and then people order from here and then take it.
So as a design hub, do these 2 brands come to you and say like, hey, we have this problem statement that we want to work, or like, I'm just trying to understand, the like, how are you like distinguishing different projects, right? Is it you deciding, okay, we are looking for a new version, or is this like a business requirement?
It's always a part of a roadmap, so there is a strategy, there is a roadmap which tells us, okay, we want to do this product this year, we want to do a facelift this year. So it depends upon the roadmap, and then we plan our resources and then execute a product. So then there are some products it doesn't need a fundamental research, where we're probably doing a little bit of let's say a feature upgrade, or a little bit of color changes to suit to a certain market. Or maybe there is a product that is already launched in the market for about 3 years back, and then it's not really working. Then you need to do something about it. So it's we don't see ourselves as a design studio and then doing work. We are very much well integrated into the business. We work along with the people who manage the business on a daily basis, and then let's say sit together, brainstorm together, understand what are the business challenges that they go through, and what is their vision of the roadmap. What do they want to bring in after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and then that's how we work and solve.
I just want to know your perspective around maybe working on new products. I can clearly see you have made this sort of positioning as a company, as a brand collaboration, that you're working around only these 3 appliances. Do you have sort of a R&D sort of a team, or like where you maybe someone from your sales or like business team pitching for new products, or it's like solely for home solutions? I think why I'm asking is also because a lot of newer brands are coming, where people they're trying to innovate more, and there's at the same time more international brands are coming to India. Do you think these competitive landscape and the kind of tech that's moving forward is affecting your decisions?
Maybe you can reframe this question a little bit, because it shouldn't sound like the BSH is not a studio. It's a company, and then as at the end of the day, like for example, what is the other example? Let's say Volkswagen has hundreds of brands. Sorry, not hundreds of brands. They have 4 or 5 brands, right? But then it's at the end of the day, it's Volkswagen. The same way Tata JLR has a couple of brands. Likewise, BSH is one company which has a couple of brands.
Yeah, got the idea. Yeah. I mean, so I want to ask how. I'm just curious to know how much R&D that you folks are doing with maybe new products, or as you said, you already have like a roadmap that you're designing for the next product. Is that anything that you internally do as a company, where you're looking at the competitive landscape? And I'm also talking about considering in mind the Indian landscape of people. Now they can afford more expensive products. So do you think that changes, or do you have like a timeline for 1 year and you just stick to it?
So we have a technology center which is based out of Bangalore, and then there are hundreds of engineers who are working day in, day out to evolve the technology. Look for what's new out there, and then solve for consumers in the most interesting way possible. Adapt whatever is out there globally to Indian needs and all of it. So there is a local development center, there is a local design, which is us. There is a local development, engineering, R&D, all that happens here. And when it comes to talking about global brands coming into India, this is one of the global brands that came to India, of course, and then established for the last 10 years. And then while looking at emerging competition from newer brands, so this I think it's a dynamics of any industry, yeah. And the way we are building the brand, be it Bosch or Siemens or Gaggenau, it's about targeting those respective consumer segments with the right solutions. For example, for us, Bosch is a brand which has your freestanding standalone appliances to built-in appliances, which is, for us, it's a mass brand. Yeah, and then we compete with the likes of other brands that you know in the home appliances. Whereas Siemens is uniquely positioned, which is predominantly a premium built-in brand. And whereas Gaggenau, like I said, it's a brand for the luxury. So if you look at it, so three brands are positioned differently, and then the competition is very different for each of these brands, and then each brands have their own roadmaps to evolve products and solutions. Not only let's say how do I say that? Not only about withstanding competition, but also understand solving real consumer problems that so we stay relevant for them.
Yeah. I mean, we have this I have this conversation a lot with the European brands working in India, especially around design, as they're already so ahead in terms of design. What are your thoughts on the design ecosystem? I mean, this question I'm asking other than outside your organization and the ecosystem that the kind of designers you've been seeing, and at the same time, how much do you think our European friends are okay with us leading the design? I think that's an unpopular topic that needs to talk more about, as we as Indian design ecosystem haven't been much involved with major design changes and leadership. I understand if we can skip this question if you want.
That's okay. See, to answer your first question, okay, how I see the design ecosystem of India is, I think it's much evolved from, let's say, where I started, at least before 20 years. I think there is this strong sense of pride in Indianness and Indian design. But there was this. I think it's now evolving out to be a global phenomena. I think now the design expressions and the way the designers approach a topic is a little more global and open today than it was yesterday, is what I feel. But then if I answer your second part of the question, how much of our European design, let's say, counterparts are okay with that, like we leading something? I don't think there was this challenge, I felt, at least. I can only talk from my perspective, because, like I said, in my last 3 stints, I've always worked for global companies. And then from India, I was designing for Xerox. And then, so it's an American brand. And then we had our design hub in Europe, and then we were designing from India. So I don't think they were not letting us taking the lead. We were taking the lead, and then, of course, they were mentoring us, guiding us to solve challenges. I think there is a great learning that we can do with each other. They bring in that discipline, I feel, and then we bring in this local understanding. And then they also bring in this obsession to detail. I think here we bring in that local flavor of understanding the local culture, aesthetics, and what works and what doesn't work. So I think it's a give and take. When it comes to somebody designing for Europe, we would obviously let them take the lead, because there is no better designer than somebody in Europe to understand the local context, right? So I think all brands understand that. I also feel all designers understand that. As a way we work with designers in our company, sitting in China, sitting in Europe, sitting in US. So there is all this beautiful mutual learning that we have, and there is a lot of respect, and everybody has a common trade, but then everybody has a in-depth local understanding.
Yeah. I also want to ask you this from a craft perspective, like when you're making concepts or working on the design. I think I am also like always curious to know how enterprises and how big companies are kind of figuring out new tools for their design team to experiment. Considering there's so much new happening every day, how are you kind of streamlining set of these tools? AI, so much AI is there. How much are you open to that, and how much you think you have space to change, considering from the outside it looks like enterprise moves slow?
Yeah, see, it looks slow because when you have a smaller company, a smaller company is much more agile to bring something out. Yeah, maybe in the next 2 months, 3 months. But then when you are an enterprise, there is a lot of due diligence that you need to do. Yeah, so I think that's a beauty of an enterprise, and then I think that it also comes with a lot of bigger responsibility and a sense of responsibility. So it's not that we are not adopting AI, but then we are adopting AI with a lot more care. Be it in the process, be it the way that it can help us on our daily work, and then also be it adopting AI to our end consumer products. So there is a lot of AI integration in our daily work. It's just that we don't use ChatGPT. We cannot use it. I mean, of course, it's. I think you and I know that the data is just out there. But then we have our proprietary tools where it's equivalent of your generative AI tools, and where the data is much more safer, and then the data and all the confidentiality aspects are ticked in. We use a lot of AI for our consumer research. We use a lot of AI for our industrial design process, visualization. So we use that. It's just that I don't think there is a need to talk about it for us. I think there was a need for us to we talk about it so much internally because it makes us efficient, it makes us save time, and then there is a lot that we can learn on a daily basis. But on the other hand, the way we apply AI to appliances, I think there are great solutions which are already out there in the market. For example, we have a Siemens steam oven which has a camera which can sense the exact amount of browning inside the appliance. Yeah, so and it can tell you, so you don't have to keep opening and then checking whether it has reached. So this can sense the exact amount of browning that's happening of a bread, and then it's an AI integration. Yeah, so we don't boast about the AI, but then it's when it really solves consumer problems, your innate needs, then we speak about it.
Yeah, I mean, the very nice insight, Mohan. I actually want to know your perspective towards the consumer brands, consumer product brands in India. A lot of new brands are coming up. What do you think? Where are we heading with coming up with our own hardware brand? Because I think that's what we haven't been doing very great with. So I mean, I'm just curious to know your perspective as someone who's sitting at as a space of authority where okay, what's happening, what the kind of stuff you're doing, designing for great users. At the same time, I want to know your perspective towards these new product brands that are coming to India. How much impact do you think they can make moving forward? Because maybe for a major mass consumers, there are some products they could be competing with Bosch, for example.
I think we see competition in almost all fronts. Yeah, I mean, I still feel there are some Indian brands that they are really doing great work. With all huge respect to them, There are some brands which are bringing great solutions in home appliances across different industries. I think with some of these new brands, I think there is starting. I think they are at early phase of their trajectory, and even bigger Indian brands are doing some nice work. And I think it's to become a truly global brand. I think it's far ahead. I would say, but I think they would occupy a major share in the coming years because they're bringing relevant solutions, attractive products. I think there is space for everyone in a way, and then the amount of or the opportunity in the market is also quite huge for more number of players to come and play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, people are also aware to try out newer brands, right? What do you think these brands should do things right in order to be like those global brands and maybe selling abroad?
Maybe selling abroad, I don't know. I have not come across one. Maybe I'm not aware. I might be wrong as well. But I think there is enough opportunity in India, I feel. I don't think we have tapped into, we have not ran the market with thin and dry that you have not one consumer left to sell another washing machine or another fridge. I think there is enough opportunity in the market, in Indian market itself. Would they be, what are they doing new that let people try? I think they're relevant. I think my personal belief is that you're not buying a product just because it is cheap or you like it. It solves a problem for you. I think some of these brands are really good at storytelling. Some of these brands are really good at, talking about the exact consumer pain point that they are solving. They're not only is just attractive, they're solving some problems for consumers. I think that's why it resonates with people.
Yeah, I understand that you may be sitting at a place where, you're making sure that the things are aligned and taking important decision. What is your favorite part of the process?
I think my favorite part of the process is that, you come back from a research and then say that, okay, you found a beautiful insight. I think that's because when you found something that somebody is going through a pain or somebody doesn't know that's a problem, I think that's the beautiful moment for me personally. And then maybe the next beautiful moment for me is you see a beautiful solution that solves this unmet problem or a need. I think these are the two favorite moments of mine, I would say.
And I mean, I'm also curious to know, with all the tech you have access to, or anything that you've come across that you absolutely like in terms of tech and you think can be great in Indian market. What do you think of robotics? Like how these folks are adding, making robots for that's kind of replacing not replacing home appliances, but like being an assistant.
So if you look at CES 2026, I think there are I think it's full of robotics. There was a lot of talk about robotics. I think you have a robot which can be a home assistant for you, which can load utensils. And then there are also robots which can fold your laundry, sort laundry by colors. I think there are companies which has come up with these robots. I feel it's unavoidable, but also robots helps you make time for yourself. I think it's all these appliances in a way does that. It's your washing machine or your dishwasher or your cooktop. All of that is saving time. It makes time for yourself. It's about that in a way. So I think robots will also do that. But I still feel there is a lot of unknowns in that. How are they going to get integrated? What kind of legislations are in play? And there is already talks about the rights for the robots and stuff like that. I think I still feel we are very much early in the curve, and then maybe I think in 2035 we might see some robots in India. Is what I feel.
Yeah. Two robots having a podcast.
Could be.
Anyway, so I mean, I think you mentioned about sticking to a roadmap. I mean, I'm just trying to understand more on the process side of things, as to some. I mean, you said that you might not be able to. I mean, you don't use a lot of LLMs that are there, Chat GPT and stuff like that. What do you think about the process? I mean, how are you making sure that the processes that you are following are top notch, or actually making things faster for you? And have you seen these change inside your org that okay, what was maybe taking 6 months is now taking 3 months?
So I said we don't use these open source LLMs. I mean, like whatever the common LLM. We have our own LLMs, our proprietary LLMs that we can use, either for images, text. There are so many tools that we internally use. Of course, and there is a lot of AI adoption in the way, let's say, there is a lot of experimentation that is happening in terms of quality, in terms of manufacturing. There is a lot happening already. And definitely it has made us efficient. There's no doubts about it. Let's say, I think before the times of Miro or Mural, I think it was very difficult to collaborate. You need to bring people together in a workshop, physical workshop, and then find time and space where every other person's calendar aligns. I think today you can just do it in a week's notice and then just to get things done. So I feel we have become efficient, we have become faster. Also, there is this sense of urgency driven by peer pressure, competition, and all of it. I mean, just to quote you an example, I think when we started, let's say when we designed our first product, designed and developed our first India for India product for BSH, I think it took us about maybe 1 year plus, 1 year and another 8 months, maybe 9 months. Today we are talking about a cycle of 6-7 months. So I think in my experience with this company of about 9 years, almost 9 years, I think we have reduced the time by 3 times. We've become faster. So I think that's a time to market is a very critical factor. And then you need to be agile to come up with new things. A little unfortunate is that these products are still made with metals and plastics, and and then they take their own time to change. But then the technology is evolving so fast, and we are also exploring materials to the basics in terms of how these can really adopt it for faster change, maybe. Yeah.
What about the team? Like, how I just want to know what you are looking for when you're onboarding someone in your design team. And other than that, I also would like to know the things that you maybe been missing out in designers you're hiring or should be there, to kind of be a great fit to the team, especially to the kind of work you are doing, which is a mix of kind of experience and also like phygital sort of products.
Yeah, I think when I look for hiring a designer, we want to understand whether the designer is about exploring problems or solving problems. So, or identifying unmet needs or solving these unmet needs. So so I view it differently. I mean, to me, the person who is exploring problems is more of a research mindset. Should be able to connect with people. Should be open and curious to, let's say, new perspectives. Also work along with a lot of stakeholders. Get them along. Not only find a beautiful problem, but also let others also see that problem in the same perspective. So this person needs to be well versed in coaching. Ability to bring people together. Maybe a little bit of an extrovert. While
That's a very scenario. I mean, a lot of great designers I've seen are in.
I said that's why I said little bit of an extrovert. But then on the other hand, we want somebody to solve problems, in the most surprising, simple way possible. So there we would look for people with core skills. Here on the left side we would look for generalists. On the right side we would look for specialists. Core skills, expertise with materials, expertise with, let's say, somebody who can churn out beautiful concepts, who can sketch, who can ideate, somebody who can focus. Somebody who can connect, somebody who can focus, but they work together. And in most of the projects, they pad and then work together all the time. But when I also, the great asset that I personally look for is you need a person who's confident, but then you also need a person who values humility, and then I think sometimes it's confused. People confuse these two aspects. So I think it's the right balance is a great asset for any person to work in a bigger organization.
Yeah, I mean, this is just out of my curiosity. I've also, I asked you about the our Indian scene, and these new brands are coming up. At the same time, I feel that a lot of people are not valuing design enough, especially when it comes to hardware product, because of obvious reason, because R&D can be very expensive. And not just by designing products, but also designers. I feel there are less and less people who are really interested in physical design. What are your thoughts around that? Or I'm maybe not aware of that.
No, I think I see a wave changing. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think back in maybe for the last 10 years, 2010 to 2020, there is this rise of digital. I think a lot of industrial designers went to do screens, all due respect. But I think it needs all this digital experience needed that attention. I think the wave is changing now. And like I said, digital, I think it's going to be that. Or it's probably that. It's happening at the moment. But I also feel that, beyond a point, you will also become just physical. I think there will be a little more, I think we are a little bit early in the curve where we would start glorifying our physical objects. Of course, we had this great art, we had this great culture. There is this heritage of Indian design it's out there, so much out there. I think that the mass glorification or adoption of these products to mass usage, they're still seen as arts. I think that is yet to happen. I think the younger generation of designers, maybe in the next 15, 20 years, they would be able to do that. Also, the market would be ready for that. I feel it happens in those spaces like furniture, textile, and all of it. But I think when it comes to products, when every home has one washing machine and one appliance, I think that's when this will start to happen. I think today it's more about solving a functional need. Then it'll be about solving this emotional need. Yeah.
I also feel that I think a lot of steps of these process can be skipped, like not skipped, but can be uplifted by AI. Like, for example, you don't need to be great with the pen sketches or like marker renders, right? You can maybe use tools like Viscom and like focus on where it's going. So definitely very interesting. One that takes us to the end of our conversation, and I want you to I'm just curious to know, where do you think our appliances, especially in terms of Indian ecosystem, is going? How much people are ready to experiment and I think spending more is one topic that everyone's been talking about. Just want to know your thoughts on the future of home appliances, your own brand you're working with, other brands, and even your future of you as a professional. What's the best case scenario? Where do you think it's heading or it could go?
So let's talk about, let's say, future of home appliances. I think I still feel today they are, like I said, they're solving the functional needs. I mean, I want to wash my laundry. I want to wear fresh clothes. So I think this would turn into they're objects sitting at a corner of homes today. I think it'll get a little more integrated into your home spaces, is what I feel, and it would start becoming a little invisible, in my view, and I think it's a journey that the industry might take. Yeah, and if I talk about let's say maybe the way let's say my journey maybe, or how I see myself, or how design could be adopted in different organization. I think it's a lot more valued today than before 10 years. So designers are not seen just as let's say people who design products. They make beautiful sketches and products. It's not seen like that today. They're seen as problem solvers. They're seen as catalysts to solve business challenges. I think that's where the design leadership is going, in my view. And it's a lot more sensitive in organizations today to understand the value of design, in my view.
Awesome. Thanks for the conversation, Mohan. A lot of great insights. I hope we do this again.
Sure. Thank you so much.